My phone buzzed just after 3 p.m., right as I was approving payroll in the trailer outside the site. Dust clung to my hands, white and gritty from drywall. I'd been helping unload. Old habit. Even as a construction firm manager, I never stopped working with my crew. Her name flashed on the screen. I answered, expecting something mundane. Instead, her voice came out cold, rehearsed, like she practiced in front of a mirror. "I just inherited $15 million from Aunt Denise's estate," she said. No pause. No warmth. "Pack your things and leave the apartment by tonight." That was it. 6 years of marriage, ended with the same care you'd use to discard a broken chair. I said nothing. No questions. No anger. I stared at the spreadsheet, my reflection faint in the tablet glass, and listened as she hung up. The guys laughed nearby, unaware that my life had just been detonated at 3:07 p.m. I wiped my hands on my jeans, closed payroll, and stood up calmly, like nothing had happened. By the time I got home, the locks were already changed. I stood there for a second, key useless in my hand, before the door opened just enough for me to see her. Silk robe, bare feet, smug calm in her eyes. She didn't invite me in. She slid the divorce papers through the mail slot like a restaurant check and watched them land at my feet. I signed them right there on the front steps, pen steady. "Enjoy your luck," I said quietly. She smiled, the smile of someone who thinks they won everything. I checked my watch. There were exactly 24 hours left on something she'd completely forgotten. I didn't argue. I didn't look back. I got into my truck, shut the door, and made one call. "Activate it," I said. There was a pause on the other end. Then a man's voice, calm and professional. "Copy that." No explanations. No questions. I put the phone down, started the engine, and pulled away from the curb like this was just another workday. As the city blurred past, my mind slipped backward to where this had really started. 1 year earlier, Aunt Denise got sick. Terminal. Quiet about it. Private. That's when my wife changed. Overnight, her concerns sharpened into obsession. Questions about property portfolios, offshore accounts, cash liquidity. She talked about Denise's estate more than Denise herself. She pushed me to help her get close. I did. I arranged meetings, paid for discreet legal consultations, introduced her to my lawyer, the same one who'd handled complex commercial disputes for years. She never once asked how a construction manager had access to people like that. Every document was reviewed, every signature logged, every conversation recorded legally, digitally, meticulously, not out of spite, out of foresight. What she didn't know was that Denise insisted on a revocation clause. 24 hours. Breach of good faith voided everything. A safety switch. And I was the one who made sure it was enforceable. I wasn't a bystander in her rise. I was the shadow behind it. The architect of every step she thought she took alone. She thought she'd inherited $15 million. What she'd actually inherited was a countdown. Remove the heading, just write secret. My phone buzzed just after 3 p.m., right as I was approving payroll in the trailer outside the site. Dust clung to my hands, white and gritty from drywall. I'd been helping unload. Old habit. Even as a construction firm manager, I never stopped working with my crew. Her name flashed on the screen. I answered, expecting something routine. Instead, her voice came out cold and rehearsed, like she practiced in front of a mirror. "I just inherited $15 million from Aunt Denise's estate," she said. No pause. No warmth. "Pack your things and leave the apartment by tonight." That was it. 6 years of marriage, ended with the care you'd use to throw out old furniture. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I stared at the payroll numbers, my reflection faint in the tablet glass, and listened as the line went dead. Around me, the crew laughed, unaware my life had just been detonated at 3:07 p.m. I wiped my hands on my jeans, closed the file, and stood up calmly, like nothing had happened. By the time I got home, the locks were already changed. My key didn't turn. The door opened just enough for me to see her standing in the foyer. Silk robe, bare feet, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She didn't speak. She slid the divorce papers through the mail slot like a restaurant check and watched them fall at my feet. I knelt on the concrete, signed them on the front steps, and handed them back through the slot. "Enjoy your luck," I said quietly. Her smirk said she already was. I checked my watch. There were exactly 24 hours left on something she'd completely forgotten. I got into my truck without another word and shut the door. Then I made one call. "Activate it." A brief pause. Then a calm voice replied, "Copy that." No explanation. No follow-up. I started the engine and pulled away like this was just another workday. As the city slid past the windshield, my mind drifted backward to where all this had really begun. A year earlier, Aunt Denise had fallen ill. Terminal. Private. That's when my wife's concerns sharpened into obsession. She stopped asking how Denise was feeling and started asking about property portfolios, cash reserves, and trusts. She talked about the inheritance more than the woman herself. She pushed me to help her get close. I did. I arranged meetings, paid for discreet legal advice, introduced her to my lawyer. She never once questioned how a construction manager had those connections. Every document was reviewed, every signature tracked, every whispered conversation recorded, legally, digitally, and carefully. What she never knew was that Denise insisted on a revocation clause. 24 hours. Any breach of good faith voided everything. A final safeguard. And I was the one who made sure it could be triggered. I wasn't a victim watching this unfold. I was a strategist behind every move she thought she made on her own. She believed she'd just inherited $15 million. What she'd really inherited was a countdown. She was celebrating at a rooftop bar downtown, city lights glittering behind her like trophies she thought she'd earned. Champagne flute raised, friends laughing. That's when the first alert hit her phone. A transaction flagged on the Denise Trust. She frowned, tapped the screen. Then another alert, and another. Her smile cracked. The music kept thumping, but her world had gone quiet. A block away, I stood under the awning of a closed cafe, rain misting the pavement, sipping black coffee from a paper cup. Calm, still, watching through the glass railings as her heels clicked faster across the rooftop. She was pacing now, stiletto slipping slightly on wet stone, phone pressed hard her ear as she started shouting at someone who couldn't fix this. The irony wasn't lost on me. That phone? I'd given it to her after her promotion, back when she still pretended we were a team. She thought money made her untouchable. From where I stood, she looked very touchable, very small. What she never understood was why Aunt Denise trusted me. Months before she died, Denise had quietly made me a silent co-executive of her estate. No announcement, no drama, just signatures witnessed and sealed. She didn't trust my wife, not with money, not with intent, not with people. I'd been the one who showed up, soup in a thermos, fixing a leaky faucet, sitting through long afternoons when Denise talked more about memories and assets. I listened when no one else did. I stayed when inheritance wasn't even a topic. Denise left more than money behind. She left instructions, recordings, and a handwritten note folded once, precise and firm. If she betrays you, don't flinch, it read. Just follow the plan. This wasn't greed. It was boundaries, written in ink and law. The revocation clause wasn't a bluff. It was ironclad, and once triggered, every ticking minute pulled the inheritance farther from my wife's reach. That night, she didn't come home. She checked into a hotel and started calling everyone she knew, bankers, advisors, anyone who might explain how $15 million could evaporate in real time. No one could save her. The clause had been executed cleanly. The funds transferred into a third-party holding account, connected to my name through a blind trust in Nice opened years ago. Legal, verified, untouchable. Her access was revoked pending full review. Her name removed like it had never belonged there. She thought she'd kick me out of my life. But she forgot. I helped build hers. And anything built can be legally undone. The next morning, she stormed into the apartment with 2 lawyers in tow. The place was empty. My clothes gone. My name off the lease. Even the spare key missing from the drawer. The only thing left sat on the kitchen counter, a single envelope. Inside was a photo from Denise's last birthday. She was smiling, her hand resting on my shoulder like she knew how this would end. On the back, a message in my handwriting. You wanted freedom. Now you have it, with nothing attached. Her calls came fast after that. Missed, unanswered. She thought she'd kick me out. But I'd never really lived in her world. I was just borrowing space until she taught me exactly what freedom costs. I sat in a quiet glass office across from my attorney, the city humming faintly below us like background noise I no longer belonged to. He slid the final documents across the table and pointed once, twice, clean, precise motions. The Denise Trust hadn't just frozen access. It had opened the door to a full forensic audit. Every dollar, every transfer, every intent. And now, the authority rested with me. I could approve or deny any withdrawal. No appeals, no shortcuts. My attorney's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then looked up with a nod. The luxury condo she placed a down payment on, reversed. The bank had pulled it within the hour. Control isn't loud. It's procedural. And when it settles everywhere at once. She was waiting outside when I stepped into the afternoon light. Her voice trembled, not with regret, but rage. You can't do this, she snapped. You're nothing. I left you. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't step closer. No, I said evenly. You left a version of me you created in your head. She'd married a man she thought she could mold, shape, discard when he stopped being useful. The man standing in front of her had no interest in fighting, only in finishing. She took a step back, eyes narrowing, like she was seeing a stranger, or worse, a ghost. I understood then. Anger would have comforted her. Silence unsettled her. Freedom, when earned, comes with a kind of quiet that can shake the ground. That evening, I drove out to Denise's old lake house. The same one my wife once called too rustic. The one she wanted to bulldoze for something glass and empty. I lit a fire in the stone hearth and sat where Denise used to rock, the lake reflecting orange light against the windows. From a small wooden box she left me, I pulled out originals. Every financial document my wife had touched, each notarized, each cataloged. Beneath them was a letter addressed to probate court. Denise had planned for betrayal long before I admitted it was possible. If her niece acted in self-interest or attempted to remove me, the inheritance would revert immediately to an alternate beneficiary. Not me, a nonprofit Denise and I had built together. Scholarships for low-income families who never got a fair start. I was listed as sole director. My wife didn't lose everything to me. She lost it to loyalty. The next morning, her lawyers made one last attempt. Allegations, emotional manipulation, claims about Denise's mental state. It didn't stick. By sunset, a judge signed off. Final. Airtight. She didn't lose to money. She lost to a bond that wrote its name in ink, not ambition. The media tried to make sense of it. Widow of fortune loses inheritance to late philanthropist silent partner. My name never appeared. Hers did. She tried to spin it. Called me a nobody who exploited a dying woman. 2 days later, the Scholarship Foundation went live. 3 students received full-ride college acceptances that same week. Public opinion turned fast. She wasn't a grieving heiress anymore. She was a woman who tried to erase someone's humanity for cash. I saw her once more at the courthouse, filing for bankruptcy. Condo gone. Car repossessed. PR bills unpaid. I didn't feel triumph, just distance. The real victory wasn't what she lost. It was that she lost access to me, to trust, to control, to the story she tried to rewrite. Weeks passed, quiet ones. I moved into the lake house for good, planted a small garden where Denise's rocking chair used to sit, framed our last photo together. The nonprofit grew faster than either of us imagined. Letters arrived daily. Parents, students, stories of futures that used to be impossible, all in Denise's name. I worked quietly behind the scenes, exactly how she would have wanted. One afternoon, a letter arrived, forwarded from the old apartment. No return address. Her handwriting. I made a mistake. You were never small. I just never learned how to love someone I couldn't control. No signature. I folded it once and slid it into the fire. Not in anger. In peace. She wasn't my ending. Just a chapter. Some endings are loud. Some are earned in silence. And remember for everything they didn't become.